All right, and we're live.
Not necessary. Okay. I think that would be.
So when are you presenting it after
I
me?
was, yeah, I think on one list I'm before you, and the other I'm after, so I'm kind of waiting to see where he's adding stuff.
Are we on air? We are live. Okay.
Really? Hi, good morning, folks. I would like to introduce you to Rose Hussein. She's an instructional design technology specialist from online business education at UNL.
No, look into the camera because we're going to put your face on there. Okay, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, I would like to introduce you to Rose Hussein. She's an instructional design technology specialist from online and distance education at UNL. Rose will introduce the rest of our panelists. Thank you.
Okay. I'm getting some feedback. Oh, is there, I need to turn off my, probably need to turn off my speakers or something. Hold on. There you go, much better. Okay. Can the people online hear us? Because I'm not quite sure, I'm not monitoring. Very good. Hi, my name is Rose Hussein, and I am from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And we have a panel of experts here today. There are 4 live. We have Julie Torquati, Bill Lopez, Del Harnish, and Jane Hansen. And online we have 2 people. Let me just see if I can monitor it. This is Stefan Schmidt in Germany. This is live. We have Brendan Heidenreich, who is live from New York, and we're waiting for George Station, who is live, coming in live from California. And because it's still very early in the morning there, I'm not quite sure whether he's online yet, but let's get back to here. There are some cards that are being handed out in the room, and they look like this. And what these cards do is they'll take you to a folder. So if you have a device, this is a hands-on session. And we also have some people coming in live from around the world. So they will be coming into the same document. I'm going to share my screen right now to show you what that document is. So you're welcome to come in live. Just scroll all the way up. This is a live document, and already you can see we've got some people online. The purpose of this session today is actually to showcase a hands-on demonstration of some of the experiments that we had done in the 4 courses that were piloted by the 4 faculty here on the panel. The main idea that we'd like to share with you is that we understand in the 21st century people need new literacies, and unfortunately we don't really address those literacies in our normal classroom day-to-day. We expect students to somehow by magic know how to use some of these new technologies, and we don't really spend a lot of time showing them what the best practices are or what the benefits of doing that is. So what we've done with the 4 courses, and I will introduce very briefly the 4 faculty, and I will let them tell you a little bit more about what they did. But in general, what we have, and I'm going to scroll down this document, these are the names of the faculty, and I will just very quickly, here we go. There were 7 groups of students divided into 4 different cohorts. One was an 800 level graduate course, which comprised students who were purely online. Another 2 groups were a combination of undergraduate and graduate students who were put together in one online environment to learn together. And some of them were registered physically here on campus, and some of them were registered as a distance education student. So some of them never came to campus, and we kind of put them all together to see how they would learn together. Another group of students were undergraduate, and it was published as a face-to-face normal class, but that class was piloted as a blended class, which means that a large amount of the class activity was done online as opposed to just purely face-to-face. And the last group, this was really fantastic to me because it was actually a huge, huge enrollment. We had 3 different sections taught by 1 faculty without any assistance, no TA at all. And so how do you then manage that? So we ended up making it into a blended course so that we're able to better provide quality learning for the students using these online methods. So without further ado, I'm going to just very quickly mention the names, and we'll walk through the different faculty. Oh, by the way, my name is Rose, and I'm the instructional designer who worked with them, experimenting and grappling along the way. I think we kind of just fell short, but moved right through. And online, we have 2 other people right now online. Let me just double check and see whether George managed to come in yet. George isn't here yet. Ooh, I love this. We've got Stefan is in Germany. He is my partner in crime. He is the lead instructional designer for BBW. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. You can tell them what it sounds like, Stefan, later. And BBW is the leading workforce training organization in Europe. So they provide certification for people in Europe. Once you graduated from college or whatever program you are and you're in the workforce in Europe, they need these professional qualifications. So this organization is the organization that provides that certification. So we're talking about adult learning in the workforce. And I've got another person, Brendan. He goes by Brendan Storming. I'll let him tell you why later on. And he is in New York, and he represents lifelong learning because he's leading a large group of people online through informal methods of continuing education and finding your pathway even if you're not in formal education. We have one more person who's coming in online, and I'll go back to the document just to show his face since he's not here yet. He's coming in from, oops.
Can I interrupt for a second, Rose?
So,
Brendan.
second.
Okay, sent. Okay, you got it. I'm out.
Okay, and Brendan, could you pull up the document, please? Since you're doing the screen sharing right now. And when you pull up the document, could you kind of scroll to George's face? George Station is a faculty in the University of California, and he will be joining us shortly from California. It's very early in the morning there, and he is a faculty who has been using this online open environment for quite a long time, and he's also my, not this one, the document that is the main Google Docs. Yeah. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this on to Julie. Here you go. Let's see if I can get the camera working right. Julie Torquati is teaching an undergraduate course, and I'll let her explain some of her experiments.
Okay. It's actually an undergraduate graduate 400-800 level course in human dimensions of sustainability. And I had an online section, completely online, and then a section that met in the classroom. And so we used blended methods. And as human dimensions of sustainability, I'm in the Department of Child, Youth, and Family Studies. And the main principles of the course were how human types of sustainability, like families, communities, economic systems, political systems, social systems, are interdependent with ecological sustainabilities. And so they explored that in a variety of ways throughout the semester. Do you want me to go through the specific
I can
now,
pull up,
or?
I can pull up the, do you want me to pull up the document that you had, or?
Sure, that would be great. And
Oops.
so
Sorry.
one of the first things that I just
Brendan,
want
you need to do that. I'll just check.
Okay, one of the things that I just want to mention first is that, like with any other class, the trust in the relationships between the instructor and the students really lays the foundation for that. So just like when Rose and I discussed the possibility of experimenting with some of these things about 3 minutes before the semester began, it really was possible because I trusted Rose that she wasn't going to lead me down a wrong path and that she'd be there to back me up if things got hairy. And then inviting students to experiment with me on this also involved trust on their part, that they, if things went wrong, if there were glitches, that it wouldn't be at their expense. And so it really was important for me to be able to convey that up front, and then throughout the process, similarly provide the kinds of levels of support and reassurance, and then at the end of the class really thank them for their patience and persistence working through it. But the students were very positive about the experiences as we went through it. So, okay, did you all?
Yeah, we do have the document here, so I think I'm going to screen share, Brendan, because it's really hard if you're holding the reins right now and I can't. Wonderful.
Down the rabbit hole.
This is live. We are experimenting live as we do this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, here we go. All right, so let's scroll down. Do you want to
If you'll click on the very first
link?
Yeah, the very first link. This was an assignment that they were given, the online class was given to explore some issues having to do with Valentine's Day. And so I called the assignment Spread the Love, because Valentine's Day really should be good for everybody. But if you begin to explore what the sources are of some of the things that we usually use to celebrate Valentine's Day, such as chocolate, flowers, lingerie, it's not such a happy story. And so what I challenged them to do is to find out some information about the kinds of ways that they celebrate Valentine's Day and how they could plan to celebrate a Valentine's Day that would be good for everybody, not just themselves. And so part of that is a principle of eco-literacy called making the invisible visible. So when you buy chocolate at the store, you don't know that that chocolate may have been that there may have been slave labor involved in the production of that chocolate. And one of the things that was very powerful about this assignment is that I certainly could have done all the research myself. I could have lectured at them about all of those facts. But the impact of that assignment was phenomenal because it was really guided by both their interests, their experiences with their lives, and the fact that they found that information themselves. So they would talk about Victoria's Not So Dirty Secret, and about the chocolate. So if you want to play, can you play that?
Oh, okay.
That YouTube video. Just we don't have to watch the whole thing.
Brendan, could you play that since you're in control of the screen share?
But I think it gives you a sense of what it was that they were finding, and then they recorded. They worked together as a team, so they used Google Docs to assign the different parts, or to delegate the responsibilities for the assignment. And then divided the responsibilities. So
And they use the tools that we just taught them.
Yeah, exactly. So and then they recorded that with the Screencast-O-Matic. Do you have sound? They put it to music.
Oh, there is music?
Yeah.
Brendan, does your laptop, can it feed into it or it doesn't? You muted
And
that?
that's okay if it didn't.
Okay. Well,
But you get a sense of what that is. So they explored the sources of chocolate. And then at the end, they were challenged to come up with different options. How could you have a Valentine's Day that really was much better for everybody? So they were able to work together using, Google Docs, by sharing those resources, by really crowdsourcing the content for themselves, getting all of the information and sharing it. And then to follow up, they did an assignment where they journaled on it. So really to reflect on that experience for them personally. There was the group assignment and then the individual assignment. And so that's the links right after that. And the students got very creative because this is the other part of it that I was really blown away by, is that with their journals, which were blogs on WordPress, they got very creative. They would include photos, and the title of this one that I've included here is "Roses Are Dead, Violets Are Too. Try to think about someone other than you," for the title of the journal to reflect on what they had learned about Valentine's Day. So.
At that interjection, what I'd like to do is I'd like to share. Stefan, did you manage to get those slides up? Otherwise, I'll pull them up. The 3R and 5R.
Yes.
So that maybe to give you a little bit of a more general understanding of what we're trying to do here. We all know the 3 R's, which was brought up by Sir William Curtis in 1795. He said that the literacies that we need are reading, writing, and arithmetic. Unfortunately, that was 1795, before computers and before anything else. And Stefan, can you please pull up that? Okay, we'll put that up here in the room. So this was defined as basic literacies that humans need back in 1795, and there were only 3. Right now, this is totally irrelevant, or not. It's not complete, and it's not something that will help us to move forward in the new technology world. So there is a second one that was published last year, actually by myself and Dr. Paul Kim of Stanford University, and we call it the 5 R's. And these are the basic competencies that we feel are needed in this new open online world. We're not just talking about the online world. We are talking about the open online world, which came about because of the event of MOOCs. Now, what do we mean by the open online world? Right now, we are in this room, but this is being live broadcast through YouTube, and that's why we've got this sort of very interesting technology setup with the cameras going, because while you guys are here physically in the room, we have quite a number of people who have already been logging in online since about 8 o'clock this morning from Pakistan and from other parts of the world. Open education and open learning means that everybody has the right to have the access. How that pans out in terms of qualifications and certifications, that's something that higher education has still not yet figured out. I think MOOCs came about last year. It became a big thing. It's kind of sizzled out. But right now, the aftermath of that is people have learned that there are methods of learning that are superior to the traditional methods of sitting in a classroom. And what we're trying to do is to maximize that pedagogy. And the 4 faculty here have been quite amazingly brave to take a little bit of some of these pedagogies and inserting it into their classes without any training, without any background sort of time preparation at all, and we just dove right in. And so what you're going to hear are some of the successes and maybe a little bit of the frustrations, but a lot of the ideas that can be brought through to other further education circumstances out there. And so that's why we are broadcasting this. And so I just thought I'd give that little interjection so that people get a better idea what the faculty are going to be talking about. So Julie mentioned that there were some very interesting findings from how she ran her class. Do you want to talk about that troll thing that happened a little bit, or do you want me to say it? Or
Well, yeah, I can talk about it. I used to meet with the students online. It's always good to have office hours, whether it is availability by email, phone, and or occasionally a Google Hangout. And we would make an appointment if we wanted to meet by Google Hangout. But the problem is that anybody can really come into your Google Hangout, and they may not necessarily have the best intentions. So we did have some issues with people who would try to join when we'd be sharing content and that sort of thing, and it was a matter of being able to regulate that a little bit. And so Rose had suggested to open the Hangout early. People would come, find out there's nothing going on that really interested them, and move on. And that worked to a certain extent, but there were some times we did need to block and sort of eject people from the meeting.
well, right now being pulled up is the actual classroom space. What we did was, rather than just doing Blackboard LMS, we wanted to teach the students real open online learning skills. And so we transferred quite a bit of the interaction onto the open space through Google+. And that's what all 4 classes did. Julie went one step further. Not only did we open up a classroom space using Google+, but we made that classroom space totally public. We allowed the public in. Now that was a very brave move on her part, but it was an experiment. And what she discovered was, because she was posting every day course assignments and links to suggested readings and suggested videos, her ranking, because you only started Google like at the beginning of the semester.
Yeah, January.
Within 2-3 weeks, suddenly her ranking in the public domain became sort of Google's top poster. You know, kind of like Facebook, if you're the top poster, you get pushed up. Now, what does that mean? The point that I wanted to say is that these are new competencies and literacies that we need to know and understand. Because she became a popular person online, she was also susceptible to being attacked by trolls. People online who just want to go in and, you know, do marketing or just disturb the environment. Now, those are skills, safety, privacy skills that we do not teach our students. In LPS now, Lincoln Public Schools, at K-12 level, they are beginning to teach that. We have not started doing that in higher education, but our students and our faculty are equally exposed to that kind of privacy and, you know, problems of being online and open and unprotected. And I know Del will talk a little bit about that. Yep. So I'm going to let the next person talk because I know we're running out of time. So Bill. And we shall go to Bill's class if Brendan or Stefan can help do that. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, okay.
You want to stand?
I'm blinded by the light.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, so
Blinded by the...
yeah, you can stand there, Bill.
Okay,
Sit right there.
I'll do that. I also teach standing up, so, you know, I can't sit down and do that. My class is teaching social studies in the elementary classroom. It is a teacher preparation methods class. And I had the pretty traditional delivery, although the content wasn't all that traditional. So Rose and I have been working for a while. I got a faculty development lead last time around, and in fall. And I used that time to write iBooks for my class. So just like the speaker said, my kids did not have to buy any textbooks. I gave the iBooks to them exactly. Rose, I'm going to switch around a little bit. Can you pull up the video?
Okay.
Just because of the time factor.
Could you go back to, Brenda, could you go back to the page, the document, please? Otherwise, I'll pull it up. Okay, whichever one is faster. Maybe it's faster if I do it.
I'm going to set up the video other. Does that have sound now? Does the video have sound?
I'm not sure if we have sound. Let's go to Bill.
That is not
Bill.
No, we can't do sound.
No, the
Second one?
using iPads in the classroom. Second one, yeah.
Oh, the second one, okay.
If it's on my computer, we might have sound. I hope the hotel equipment works. Not really.
Is it back to a speaker?
Can you go full screen on this? I'm going to set up the video on there. Does that have sound now?
Where she stopped, yeah, she started talking about something else, or she was.
Using iPads. Second one.
Oh, I think I can hear it. Okay. Okay. What, yeah, I think we're, yeah. What did you talk about?
Go ahead and full screen. Okay, so what you're going to not hear but see is my students using the, just pause it.
Okay.
What you're going to hear is see is the students, they were in groups, and the iPad, which if I have time, I'll show you a PDF page or two of it, but the iPad has assignments on it. And the whole idea, instead of giving these huge assignments at the end that are all due at the end of the semester, like I used to do, I divvied up small assignments, generally using critical thinking kind of things on that. And the students were in groups, and the iPad, the assignment, they would upload to the Google Plus community, just like you saw on Julie's on there as well. And so go ahead and full screen.
Oh, you want to do the video?
No,
still?
I want video.
Oh, you do want the video?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead and start it. And as much sound as you can get.
Oh, you do want them to hear? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure the people online can hear it. Yeah, okay.
So what they had to do is they had to look at an old photograph of a primary source material, and that photograph happened to be my 5-year-old birthday. The nice thing about doing your own iPads is that you can personalize it. And we always want to make connections, and I want a model of building relationships with students so that they can build relationships with the content. That's what my class is all about. And so that's why I'd like to be up here, so I can build relationships with you all. And so they're looking at this picture of me and my friends 61 years ago. And they're analyzing it, and they're trying to figure out who these kids are, because I didn't tell them it was me. And the iBook has an interactive photo widget, so they click on different parts of the picture, and questions popped up. And so one of the questions was, for example, can you figure out the different races that are in the picture? And just so happens that I grew up in a pretty multicultural place in North Denver, and my best friend was a Native American, and I had African Americans and Asian American, all in the picture. And so now, where do you think this picture was taken? They would say, oh, must be, because they're from Nebraska, it must be New York City or something like that, And so you get the idea that the iPad was able to produce interactive between me and the students. And so finally, they were writing down all this stuff, and then we said, okay, I asked them, so what would be the very, very most accurate resource you could get to find out about this picture? And they all said, after reading the book, right, the iBook, well, somebody who took the picture maybe, or somebody who was in the picture. And I said, good. How are we going to find those kids? And they're struggling around to do that. And I said, well, I'll tell you, one of the eyewitnesses is standing right here in front of you. And then they, is that you, little Billy? And yes, that is me. You were such a cute kid. What happened? And so they, they were able to interview me then, and I was able to ask all kinds of crazy questions. I'm really messing you up here with moving around.
Yes,
there.
you are. Okay, and we are
Okay.
going to move to the next speaker. Which
Yeah, so
is
just let me say
Del.
that if you haven't already done so, really challenge yourself to write your own textbook. They talked about using the free stuff, but the freest stuff is doing your own.
The next speaker is Del. Thank you, Bill. And Brendan, could you just scroll down? One of the things that Bill did is he actually brought his students live to the cemetery to use QR codes, and we won't have time to look at that, but the document actually shows some pretty cool, interesting pictures. If you can scroll down, Brendan, to the picture of the QR code. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm going to introduce Del Harnish, and you're going to stay right there, so I'm going to zoom into you if I can.
I'll do a few introductory comments, and then we'll go to the PDF of my presentation, which is online for all of you to see and follow along. I'm coming to you as a presenter for the College of Education and Human Sciences in Teaching, Learning, Teacher Education Department. This is a graduate level course. I limit my number of enrollees to 20 graduate students who are master's and PhD students. The focus of the course is on teaching, inquiry into teaching and learning. It's helping our research candidates, our master's and advanced degree candidates, understand what does it mean to become a teacher that's just not only good but a great teacher. What does it mean to understand learning from a student's perspective, from an assessment perspective, and from a perspective that grows improved achievement within classrooms. And so my class is really, it's Blackboard resident, but we've added the Google Plus learning community. And the learning community was the first time that I had used it as a specific discussion community for my interactive learners. And in this situation, it was online. Google Plus is a private community that I created for my class. And every week, as you'll see in my PDF version, my students were responding to particular issues. The course is really about issues regarding teaching and learning. So every week I guided them with 2 questions that they had a personal story to write about by Sunday night. There was a series of readings they would share, and they would then describe their particular understandings from the readings. So let's go to the PDF. Okay. So basically what I did is I integrated completely the syllabus, the schedule that we traditionally would have in a Blackboard course, where all of my discussions were in terms of storytelling, the reading reactions, reflections, all that was now taking place inside of the Google Plus learning community space. And that's what you see up there. We also had the reading reactions. They were presenting their reactions to their particular significant research findings that they were reading, but then they were also reacting to their classmates, their group members. So with 20 students in 4 groups, there were 5 other class members, so themselves plus 4 others. So they always had responsibility to not only produce individually, but to react to their peers, their 4 other group members. That would happen on a Tuesday, Wednesday. By Friday, Wednesday through Friday, the group was developing a blog, a synthesis of their key understandings, the key points from their readings, from their personal stories, and that was produced by each respective group. and each team member in that group would decide who was going to be the editor of the group blog for the week. So that happened every week. So it was a very active, engaging session that they were presenting. What you then begin to see is that there's also students who are doing research literature reviews, 2 during the semester, plus they're doing a cumulative paper. What are the students saying about this course? The words tell it better than I could, because it's really about learners using Google Docs, learners sharing Google Docs with each other, creating a shared document as their blog. And all these documents were shared on the Google Plus Learning community, but then also uploaded to Blackboard for migrating using the rubric and saved as PDF documents. So what you see in this process, my students were learning about literacies of Google Plus, the use of Google Docs for sharing, collaboration, the use of Google Plus Hangouts, which I use for having class meetings with my group, 30 minutes to an hour at the orientation when I did it. I did a global conference with all my learners, then I set aside individual group conferences where I did interactive sessions with small groups of 3 to 5 group members. They were all recorded, they were all live, they were all archived, all available to my students to interact with if they were unable to make the Google Plus Hangout design time. So this class became very interactive, social media driven. The students' perspectives, as they say to you, is motivating, engaging, and from my perspective, I've been doing this a few years, and the Google Plus Learning Space just created a presence that was active, live, and motivating for my students to become lifetime committed teachers of teachers, or leaders of learners. And so from my perspective, this was a win-win for the students. The materials are ongoing. They don't, like you heard in the presentation, opening keynote, that the materials in Blackboard move away once your semester ends. All the shared discussions, all the shared publications, all the shared knowledge productions of my students in the group blogs is alive and persists following and is sustained after the end of the semester. So it's a win-win for the students, it's a win-win for the community of people that were in our professional setting. So that's what we've learned.
And in that light, just to let you know, if anyone came in late, there are these cards here. It gives you the link to the live document, which, Brendan, can you pull that up right now? The live document is there. What we wanted to have is to have anyone here, if you have questions, or if you'd like to interact directly on that document so that you will experience what it's like in the actual classes, because that is how the classes were run. There are vocabulary that you may or may not have heard, back channeling, meaning as a conference presentation is being run, conversations occur live during the person speaking. So like right now, if Del is speaking in a interactive session, what would happen is you would be interacting live while the person is speaking without interrupting him using one of these Google Docs. And that's how some of these classes were run. It was very fluid. It was no difference between the online interaction versus the physical in-space interaction for those that were blended. But in Dell's case, it was purely online.
And one of the key assets that you need to realize in a learning community like this is to use the notation of hashtags. So for every week and group, they could always find all my assignments. They could find all their personal writings. It never got lost in this thing called the cloud. They could always retrieve it within this learning community, see all their resources, put it together as a portfolio, and that's what they did in their final paper. They brought together their key thoughts, key learnings, key integrated ideas. So the hashtag was a very powerful tool for them to continue to implement.
With that, I'm going to pass on to Jane, because she also discovered some other things that were sort of very interesting in her class. So Jane Hansen, she has an undergraduate class. And
I teach an undergraduate linguistics class, and I don't take the usual approach that we're going to learn syntax, morphology, and pragmatics and things of that nature. I am a language teacher, and which makes me extremely aware that every single person in my classroom learns in a distinct way, at a distinct time, and in a unique way of synthesizing. I always keep Bloom's taxonomy in mind as I'm designing my exercises and my educational process, because I'm trying to push my students into those higher pointy levels at the top. Well, the issue is, what I see technology doing is affording us the ability to do this, to uniquely give students an opportunity to fine-tune their own learning process. So my course is Blackboard driven. This is the 4th semester I've been teaching the linguistics class, and when I jumped in completely over my head, and if it hadn't been for Rose, I probably would have been in deep trouble. So what I found myself doing is evolving. I've tried the wiki tool on Blackboard. I've tried the group wiki tool on Blackboard. I've tried the blog tool. I've tried many other things, and my students have survived through a federal presidential election. The course deals with everything from a beginning of what language is. Language is thought, language meaning, and evolves all the way through language and media, language and social media, language and social class, language and acquisition, whether we learn it first or second language acquisition. It goes through language and gender. It moves all through these different topics, one every week. So it is like language. It reflects language in that it is a sequential process. So students must be picking and choosing from a great number of readings that are posted on Blackboard with the concept and with the awareness, with the trust that they are building using these different tools and trusting me that at the end they will have acquired enough knowledge to build a philosophy of language, which we do at about, and we do this in groups, about 3/4 of the way through the semester. And the idea is that they've done a midterm where they pick their own topics what report to them. Then as a group they go out on Google, and you might want to scroll down and there's a Google link.
Brenda, could you scroll down? And just as an interjection, this particular class was interesting because it is linguistics and it touches on the concept of literacy, and that's what this entire panel discussion is about, is what is online open literacy. And so the students experience, a lot of them, even though they're the younger generation and they were undergrads and sort of in their 20s, they found it extremely hard to live up to the literacy and competencies that are necessary to survive in this open type of learning. So I think there were some philosophies that they came up with at the end of the course.
A basic part of this was understanding that a college education is essentially preparing them to perform at different levels of literacy, with different levels of language in different social contexts, with different competence. And it was very, very intuitive for them to move through this.
Which one do you want to click on?
Let's do at the top a little bit, collaborative groups down at the bottom there, where it says collaborative group philosophies.
This is language.
Language. Collaborative group philosophies of language. Yeah, click on that one.
They were amazing in watching them work on Google+. And they had a chance to work on wikis within Blackboard and also work on Google+. They greatly preferred Google+. So I have that data to give to you. They really would prefer to work in that environment. And because I had started with Google 2 semesters ago, we now have a revolving linguistic community. And students there from previous classes have actually come in to see what the current students are doing, because they want to see what the responses were to the gender fishbowl, or what students thought for their philosophies, because they created them. Here are different groups' philosophy of language. And they're amazingly different. Each group is different. But in the synthesis, in the discussion that took place online, they're then prepared, they're primed to go on and write their choice of either a final paper with 5 pictures that they've chosen that exemplify, or they may do a video with a video description. So they have the options at the end of how to make with the entire semester's learning valuable for them. But it's not a hit in the head, overweighted, because they've already worked with an initial probing of this at the midterm. Then they've worked with their philosophy of language in a group discussion. This is at the end. This is more, I just felt at the level of language. This is an English class. I'm bringing forth levels of language through the discussion in a linguistics class that are amazing. Can you go back out to the previous, and I'm going to show you actually the Google, got metacognitive connectivist collaboration examples, just a little higher. That one of those. These are 2 examples of the actual Google negotiation of meaning that my students participated in. And just to show you.
And while doing that, right after that, we're going to go over to George Station, who is in California, because I see he's online. So George, be prepared. You're going to go on next. Hopefully our audio works for you. So we've got this document. Go ahead, Brendan, and scroll down, since you've got
the students. Here they are coming in, and they on their own came up with different colors, so they'd be able to tell whose comments were which. They'd be able to come back and forth. and discuss it. So at the end, they came down and they put together, after they each provided their ideas of what were good tenets for a language philosophy, at the end they came down and they went back and they figured out they could highlight. So they went back and they started picking out the key points. This was all metacognitive learning that they were teaching themselves as they did this, because this particular group had not worked with this before.
And to point out pedagogically, that means as an instructor, our education today with these methods, we can not only grade the end product that the students produce, we can actually assess and evaluate the process in which they're learning. Because previously, you only get the final assignment and you only grade what the product is. But using this and looking at the way everything is transparent, the process is transparent, we can now be very, very fair to the students and actually assess them based on the process of learning, not the product of learning alone.
My students have very exact rubrics that tell them exactly what I'm looking for the final assignment. When I go down and I grade, I use that rubric, and it speeds it up greatly for me. Did they do this? Did I read it? I look at the video. Did they do this, this, and I've got my score. And we're fair, and we've built that trust that you talked about.
Okay, and thank you, Jane. I am going to move over to George. George, can we see if we got audio from you? George is a faculty at University of California, and our timekeeper has said that we're running out of time, so let's go quickly into this, George.
Okay.
George is my buddy online, and he has been fantastic in teaching me. He's the one who was the first person to say welcome to Google Plus to me a year ago. George?
Okay, good morning. Do we have audio?
George. Okay, audio isn't functioning. Let's see if that works.
Okay, let's try
While
this.
George is figuring
I hear audio.
oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I have crowdsourcing. Somebody from the audience. People have said that we're running out of time, so let's go quickly into this, George.
Okay.
George is my buddy online, and he has been fantastic in teaching me. He's the one who was the first person to say welcome. No, we don't want to do it that way.
No, I think George's audio is working fine.
Okay.
Okay, so
I'm learning. George, go ahead.
okay, I'll just go ahead and proceed. Maybe as a test, I'll just let everybody know. I'll play the Cornhusker card here. I was born in Omaha, and I went to Central High up through 9th grade and then did other things. So anything that's wrong today, we can blame on California or something else. But anyway, let's talk about the literacies just a little bit and the worth of a professional learning network. Basically, I started thinking about the PLN, or professional network, because I sensed something was wrong as I continued to teach, I'm going to say from about 2007 on. Long about 2011 or 2011, I finally thought something's got to give. We were unsatisfied with our teaching at Cal State Monterey Bay, where I teach now, in a lot of different ways, and we had all these in-house problems that never seem to get solved. We have faculty cooperatives, which are small groups of faculty, professional learning communities, or PLCs. Those are great, but the results were always kept in-house. They were never shared. They were limited. We had professional development training, brown bag luncheons, whatever you want to call them, poorly attended, and still only the people in the room ever got the benefit of it. So those are some of the motivators. Maybe one of the big ones, unsafe conversations. There are some things you can't talk about on campus, or you just talk about in the hallways, and we never get anywhere with them. Sometimes there are campus political issues or other issues. Conference proceedings are expensive to purchase if your institution doesn't purchase them. They're, again, limited sharing, so something's got to give. I think one of the, probably, let me just say, I'm trying to condense here because of our time. One of the big things is that it doesn't matter how you start a network, but it's important to start a network that extends beyond the campus because of all those limiters. We're here today, I'm talking with Rose and the rest of you today, because we started with very small, deciding to extend beyond our own campus boundaries. And the bottom line of that is that now we have a very extensive network that extends internationally, not just across the U.S., and it's satisfying in a lot of ways in terms of support, in terms of sharing resources, in terms of our own actual lifelong learning, which perhaps for many of us is the bottom line. The traditional learning doesn't seem to do it for a lot of us a lot of the time, and so this is one approach to it. So I think, Rose, to tie it back to your additional expansion.
I got a sign from the moderator, so George, I hate to cut you off, but I do want
it's time.
Something, because Stefan represents the workforce. That means we're all done with teaching these students, all the faculty are done teaching them, they graduate, they go out in the real world, and then they're not employable. Am I right, Stefan?
And then they're not employable. Not quite, but there's a little truth in that. We sell a lot of trainings, corporate trainings, and corporate training is usually viewed as something you throw at your employees, and it makes them more efficient. And usually companies buy a package that has a certain curriculum people expect it to have, but nobody really cares much for the methods. And networked learning and connecting to other people and sharing and generating more content or knowledge just by working together is not something that's considered trainable. Nobody really thinks about it, and it's not attractive because you cannot really measure a return on investment, which is seriously a problem to sell this kind of stuff. And so every time I talk to people and tell them this is actually what you should be training, because your workforce is getting more and more connected, it gets ignored. Yeah. So this, yep. Sorry.
Cut you off. As you said, we're more connected. I just got news that we're out of time.
That's fine with me.
If we can just wind back to the original document, and maybe what I'll do is I'll do that. Turn the camera off. No, I'll screen share. I'll go back to the original document. If you have time to take a look at the original document, please feel free to contribute or to go through. The links are all from this document. There will be people online, and what happens now is actually we've got a group of people online who are going to continue this discussion after this session is over, asynchronously, using the same tools that you saw just now in a classroom, because we actually do have several groups who are participating here. We have a group of teachers, K-12 teachers, called under the program OOE, Open Online Education. And that's a MOOC that I am co-running with some other colleagues, Open Online Worldwide. There's another group called Peeragogy who just called in this morning and said that they're going to participate in this discussion. So feel free to come and join in as well. This is asynchronous online open learning. And so rather than just hearing how they did it in these 4 courses, and also in California and how they do it in Europe in the workforce training, we do invite you to come and participate on your own as well. By joining in some of these platforms. So thank you very much. Okay, so it's officially closed, so I'm going to just...
Ending the Hangout.
Ending the Hangout. Well, actually, I need to sign up because I think the next speaker is coming in. So, Brendan, thank you so much for the live online. I will sign in with you again when I get out of this room, just to do a capture at the end of it. But thank you so much. We can go on air now, I think.
Okay, sure. Got it. Although actually, we could just keep going if
I was going to suggest if I mean, obviously the room has to clear, but one of the joys.
Right,
we'll hang out if you want to. We'll hang out on another hangout, not live.
Maybe not live, but yeah, there's. I guess we just proved hangouts are good for something else. We can.
Yeah. Let's turn this off, Brendan. It's still broadcasting on YouTube.
Okay,
All right.
yeah.
But I mean, we could just continue.
See you asynchronously on the other side there.
Okay, I'm just gonna unplug my computer because I gotta get out of this room and let the next person.
Okay.
You guys can keep it live if you want to, but you know that's gonna be a long YouTube.
That's going to be a very long YouTube.
I
Yep.
can shut it off. We'll go on another one. Just shut it off.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Ping you.